Just want to go over the schedule with us real quick. It's on your piece of paper too. Just a few changes we'll talk about. Time frame for Crockett Connection, prayer and prep. This is really important, so if you can be there at 3:30, great. I know for some of us, we can't do that. It's really a good time for us, not so much to solve the problems of the world, but just to be able to talk about what's going on, what are the changes we need to make today, anything new, and then just pray for our students. So I think sometimes we can get kind of tied up in maybe a difficulty we're having or a problem with a student, but that really is a time for us just to kind of focus our hearts and our minds on being able to reach the kids. So as you know, students start showing up at 3:45. That really hasn't changed. We have a few that run. Once they get out of the school doors, they're not allowed to run, of course, in the building, but they get out and they run straight here, and I've seen kids as early as 3:46, 3:47, so they're out of breath. Did you run here? Yeah, I wanted to be here that bad, so that tells you anything. So what I'm trying to stick to now is starting the devotions a little bit earlier, 4:40 to 5 time frame, and depending on whether or not you are sharing that day, whether or not you're going to share the gospel, you may have a story or something else you want to share. I'm trying to coordinate that with you. So if you feel like when you're going to get up and share the gospel, if it's going to be closer to 10 minutes, what I'm saying is we won't do the video. So our videos are sticking anywhere between 8 and 12 minutes. The ones that we're showing, which are great for the kids, I think they're really engaging for them. But what I've noticed is sometimes we're going a little bit longer. And a lot of what you guys shared on the surveys was we're losing their attention. We got a long video and somebody's speaking for a while. Like there's just no way we're gonna have to keep giving out more red cards. And I don't want to discipline the kids because we're keeping them too long in that devotion time. So that's not fair to them. So just know there's going to be some audibles that we call. I figured out that's worked a little bit better than just saying we're going to do the video every week. We're going to have someone share every week. So 4:40 definitely start no later than that. And I really would like us to be done at 5 just so we can get into the dinner mode and then get students up here for the mentorship time. So if you're a part of that, that's really, really awesome. I'm happy for that. And I know it's already making a huge impact on kids being here on Sundays and getting discipled for the first time, which a lot of them have never had anybody who's just invested in their life. And part of that adjustment in the schedule is making sure we get out of the gym by 5. We start moving the kids for dinner at 5. It's so that students can come up here for mentorship. We go really a lot later than we should over there. 5:10, 5:15 is really still way too late to get them over here, get dinner, having them meet, we start services. So just know, Keith, you had a question?
So students either go to dinner or they go to road?
Right, to the mentorship group. So as you know, we filter them out in groups of 10, and that'll start right at 5. If we don't get them all out of there until 5:12, 5:15, that's pretty normal. So, but we got to start it at 5, so that especially those who, and actually I'm having Austin, some of our other guys who are interning, take the students first that are being mentored. Let's go get your food. Let's go upstairs. So that way we're already removing about probably 15 or 20 students right at the beginning. So that's 5 o'clock, 5:20. Gym reopens. That's really crucial that we do that. I know we've kind of gone back and forth, but 5:20 is really when we got to open up the gym and let kids back in. Just because, especially if it's a meal they don't like, it's like, you know, green beans and I don't know, squash, whatever it is. But I don't know what they don't like. But some days they get over there real quick. They eat the cake, dessert, and that's it. Throw everything else away and run back over. And I know several of us are coming to mentor. Some are going other places. So if you're going to be here until 6 o'clock, helping with Crockett, we want to make sure that group of about 10 adults who are staying past that meal time actually have the ability to manage everybody, and part of that's having the gym space open. And then 5:55 we shut down. We're really sticking really hard and fast on that. I know we always have, but it really helps in the transition if we just say 5:55 students, you gotta leave. Good news is you can come upstairs, you can go get a snow cone, you can hang out upstairs, you can stay for service as long as you want. So that's kind of the cool thing about this space. We're just doing a variety of different things. This is the main one we use for overflow and for Crockett students who are coming in who are unchurched. They've never made a profession of faith. We still invite them to stay for service. But maybe just stay in here, hang out. They get to watch the service on the screen in here and watch worship and all that kind of stuff. So that's the end of that. No small groups is the change. I have been thinking and praying about this, and I love trying to do the small groups with the Crockett students, but For those who have already made professions of faith, maybe gotten baptized, maybe you're coming on Sundays, those are the ones that are really hungry to grow. And so I know we have a huge group, probably easily in the 80 to 90% range that are coming that have not made professions of faith, and we hope that they do. But for those that are not going to get involved in small group, that don't want to participate because we've given them that option, I'd like to try to divide and conquer as much as possible. So our small groups, our grow mentorship groups are going to happen up here. If a student asks you, say, hey, I want a mentor, first question is always, hey, have you made a first-time decision to put your faith and trust in Jesus? If you haven't, that's okay. I want you to have that opportunity to make that decision, maybe walk them through that. If they still want to be in a mentorship relationship, it's something we can talk about. But what I'm trying to do is provide these groups for discipleship, mostly. And if a student's just insisting, no, I haven't made a decision, but I want to be in a mentorship group, I want to grow, we can get them into one of those, but there's always going to be the main hope that they're going to make a decision out of that. Okay, so I don't want to do a whole lot. If a bunch of students say, I just want to go up there and hang out, well, that's not really what it's about. So as much as possible, and I'll handle, I think, the case-by-case students who would either have not made a decision or were kind of confused. Did you make one? Did you not? And I'll talk with them. But if they have, if we've got that on record, you came forward, you made a decision, you got baptized, you need to be in a group. So in fact, Evan and Austin have been helping out a lot with that. If they've made a decision, I've said, look, just say, hey, you get to go to grow groups now. So it's not even it's that, I know we've made an option in the past, but for students who have made decisions in the last year, a couple of years, and they're coming to Crockett, they need to be up here. Okay, so we're saying, you got to go up there, sorry. No questions. If you want to go home, you can, but if you made a decision, you're up here meeting with a mentor, right? So that's the schedule. We can go ahead and go to the next one. This is going to be, okay, so you're going to be out. Here's some things you can do just to help us out. And what we're going to do is, if you don't have your phone number or email on Planning Center, and that's normally how we send out those notifications, one clue would be, I don't get anything on Monday morning, which is when I always send them out. So Monday morning you should get a text, an email with a little option. I'll show you some examples of what that looks like for accepting, declining. Just do us a favor and check that box on Planning Center Services. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll show you in a second. And that would also be a good clue. Linda's going to be back there at the end, so just make sure you go and give her your phone number and your email, and give us a preference. So say you don't check your email but once a month. Email's probably not the best way to let you confirm that you're going to be here or not. You can always email in or call the church, and that's fine too. But this is just the easiest way for a larger group of people to let our church staff know if they're going to be here or not. So accept or decline. And then another thing you can do, I know some of us do this, some of us don't, it's okay. It helps me out a lot if you know you're not going to be here. Find somebody to take your place. If you can't, that's okay too. But if you know a couple weeks in advance and you know, hey, I think this person would be glad to help out. It's always really helpful if we do that. I know out of the last 4 weeks or so, we've had games and/or track, which happened this last Wednesday, track for Crockett Middle School on Wednesday nights. So typically if that happens, we're going to stick closer to 60. If that doesn't happen, we're going to stick closer to 80 to 100. Okay? So if you can, that's really helpful. I know sometimes people will ask me, well, I was asked to help, and I know this person was going to be out, but do you really need me? The answer is always yes. Okay? It'd be better if we had a few people just sitting around waiting to help a student or do something else than not having enough leaders. Okay, so I don't think that's been a problem for us. So just a reminder, you can find somebody, and then just let the youth office know. You can email me or call into the office, let Lisa know, and Linda as well. So, tutorial time. Planning Center. We're going to actually jump into this. I'm just going to give you a few examples. Has anybody ever seen this before? Is it what it looks like this? No? Yes? Okay. The web address actually for Planning Center tutorials is services.planningcenter.com. You can go onto your web browser and look at this. Now you do have to log in. If you've never seen this before, this is also a good indicator we don't have your email, you don't have an account through Planning Center, which is how we schedule.
I see that.
I promise you, almost all of you I have an email for, and I've sent one of those little welcome emails. And maybe it just got lost somewhere. I get that with email, okay? But if you didn't get it, if you don't know what this looks like, you've never seen this before, there's actually an app too. So maybe you like using your phone. And I promise you, if you do that welcome email, you put your account information in the app. It's Planning Center Services. Okay, so just type in Planning Center Services to your little app store, and you can download Planning Center. Okay, and that'll give you the ability to, like if you go on the web browser, it'll look like a little box right here that has your schedule that says February 6th, and it's hard to see. And it'll say Crockett Connection, and it'll have your little assignment right there. So then all you do is you just click on it, click accept or decline. So that's one way to do it. If for some reason you didn't get the email, didn't get a text message, the other way is, and this is actually on my phone, for myself. So if maybe you guys are getting this over email or text, this is what it should look like. There should be a little message, hi, Plymouth Park, on there, and then it'll say, hey, you've been scheduled for this day. We'd really like you to be here, and make sure you're helping out. That's how we keep track of things. It'll say Crockett Connection, the time frame down here, and then red box, decline, green box, accept. So
we get that. If we get that, we also get this?
No, this is just web browser. Okay, so if you go on your computer, this is what you'll see. You can do it that way. You can click on it, it'll show you a little schedule, and you actually go up to the top left and click My Schedule. And after you click My Schedule, it'll show you all the days that you have assigned. And you can go right on there. You can even do it, most of you should already be scheduled all the way to the end of the semester. So, good, awesome. Did I lose it?
Michael?
Oh, cool. It's right there. Great. All right. So, my schedule, that makes it a little clearer.
That's today.
So, hey, look, that's awesome. Did you check into yours?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, Austin just checked in. You see that up there, services.planningcenter.com. That's the web address you go to. You click on My Schedule. And then for Austin, it's worship on Wednesdays and Sundays. So, it shows you right there. And then he can click on that and click accept or decline. Click on it, see what it does. And it takes you right to the service. All right, so it tells you what we're doing. You can go ahead and go back. He's already confirmed for that. So it'll show you a little, when you click accept or decline over here, since he's accepted, it'll show a little green check that he's actually done that. Okay? Yes.
Sorry, Michael, it's services.planningcenter online.
Services.planningcenteronline.com. Yes.
Once you confirm it, you can't change
So you go into Safari or whatever to get that.
Yeah.
You should be able to go in here and change it. Yeah, is it right there? Okay. Right, so, that was a good question Alfonso asked. So if you're like, oh no, something came up, I need to change that really quick, please let us know by calling or emailing too, but especially if it's last minute. But you can actually go onto the service template, which this is our Sunday morning Bible study. It'll show you up at the top what your assignment is. Click on that, and then you can actually go down and click decline right there if you need to change it. Okay. So that's the web browser version of this. So we'll kick it back onto the little email icon, but the most helpful thing for us, and I think the easiest thing for you guys, is if you give us your phone number or email and let us send you the notification on Monday morning. And then all you do, when we get back to that, I'll show you, all you're going to do is just click accept or decline on that Monday morning or the next Wednesday. And that's probably the most helpful. If you like getting on the computer, and honestly, this way is much more complicated. It's the one I deal with all the time, just doing all our scheduling for all of our leaders. I tell them they can go on here, but there's a lot of tutorials online you can look at. The planning center online if you want to do that, but it should just be used as separate display. Just make sure you're ready. Okay, cool. So when it pops back up, you'll see the little box, and it should look really similar. If somebody's gotten those texts, they can tell me. If it doesn't, but left-hand side, email, message. And just also a reminder, if I send the notification email or text message, and let's say there's a special event going on, like on a Wednesday night, like say we have our Seat at the Pole rally, or like this meeting that was coming up, I won't send you another email about it. We'll send out a little reminder email, Lisa will. But in the body of this text that I send, I'll say, hey leaders, just a reminder, as well as your assignment, which you'll click yes or no for, we have a meeting on February 10th, 12 to 2, Crockett Connection Leaders Meeting, okay? So I know the tendency is to just sort of click yes or no, and that's okay. Just make sure you read it every once in a while. We only do meetings every 6 months for Crockett Connection, so that would just be helpful. Does anybody have questions about the web browser version, if you want to do that, or the email, or the text message that gets sent to you? Now, if we set this up for you already, and you're like, I don't know how to get on it, that's okay. Give us the email today, and then we'll make a new account, or we'll send you another welcome email. And I'm going to do all that stuff in the morning. If for some reason you're not getting those, I will make sure that it generates and sends you one if I have the right email or phone number that I can send it to. So,
The text messages won't have any specific instructions like the email does.
Okay,
Just
so
so everyone knows.
it'll just be that green box for accept or decline,
Well, it
right?
doesn't have a green box, but
What does it look like?
you type in just accept or decline and send it back.
Okay, perfect. But there's instructions, right, saying what
Yes,
to do?
but it won't have any of your specific things that you put in there.
Message, okay. So email is probably the best way to do it then. If you want to get the text message, that's fine. But like Christy just said, it's not going to include all the message information. It'll just be an instruction to, here's the scheduled date, and text, accept or decline, right? Okay. So any other questions about that? Knowing the simplest way is email. You just want to click a checkbox, yes or no? No? Okay. All right, well, we'll move on with that. I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page there so that we can make that fairly clear. Okay, good. This is a little bit clear. I want to go over the red card stuff because, again, on the survey, and believe me, I understand this being a frustration. I want to make sure we're all on the same page about red card stuff, red card guidelines, basically. So how we give these out is really, really important. Okay, so I'm just going to go over these. And this is stuff that I actually took a screenshot of this because this is from the form that we have the students fill out. The parent signs it and the student signs it. So that means we have the ability to say when the student breaks the rules, you signed it, you said you would agree to this, and then also your parents signed it. So that means they're giving us the authority to enforce that. Okay? And I just want to clarify some things, and hopefully that'll make us all on the same page. If you have questions, then that's fine. We can go from there. So students will. Right up there at the top, follow all instructions given by adults, right? Okay, so all instructions means if they don't, you give them a red card. That should be pretty simple there. Two, respect others. I know a lot of what you guys shared was a lot of disrespect, okay? A lot of disrespect to the adults. I know that's going on, okay? And I know we try to be as graceful as possible, but if it's repetitive, it's still going on. I'm going to leave that up to your judgment because it says students will respect it. Respect church property. So, no brainer. If they're like kicking a hole in the wall or something like that, that's a problem. They just need to be given a red card, okay? Stay in designated areas. So we make that really clear. If they leave the gym, they're just not a Crockett connection anymore. And we actually ask them to leave the campus. Okay, so if they are hanging out, running around, we can actually give them a red card if they're on campus still and they're not following those instructions. I know that doesn't come up a whole lot. Number 5, remain in CRC. Again, that's kind of another one going off in number 4, recreation center until dismissed. Again, you guys know we can't hold them, so they can leave whenever they want. But that's just if you're going to stay, please just stay. If you're going to leave, go home. You do that. So it's just one or the other. We're not hanging out on either part of the church property. Have one person in the bathroom at a time. I'm not sure why when we did that, but it's on the form right now. So mainly, I think we were trying to avoid with that is like a lot. I think this was more a problem with the girls. 20-year-old, not that many, maybe 8, something like that, piling into the bathroom, hanging out, maybe not doing something they should be doing since there's obviously not even that many stalls in there. If that happens, I'll leave that to your discretion. Students will not, so this is really important, call others names, right? So that also kind of tag in with using profanity, because normally they're calling each other names, or leaders or things like that. So, so again, these are all red card offenses, all right? So I want to be clear. Anything that you do, any discipline that you carry out with the student, just make sure it fits under one of these, so that we're pulling that sheet out and saying, you signed this, right? Yeah. If they didn't sign it, then they shouldn't be there. Obviously, I know we're trying to keep that under reins. If they've been there for 3 or 4 weeks, we got to send them home. They haven't filled out a form. So hitting others, definitely. This doesn't happen as often, but if a student's hitting somebody else or hitting a leader, they just need to be asked to leave immediately. Okay. Steal. That was a big problem probably a year and a half ago. Before we started doing the backpack system and all that, the stuff was getting taken out of backpacks. That's a big problem as well. A little bit hard to enforce if somebody says, did you steal something? No, I didn't steal anything. But they did steal something. So I know that's hard to police. This is really where I want to spend more of our time. Failure to comply with any of the above rules is cause for dismissal from Crockett Connection. Okay? And then our procedure right underneath. I just want to make sure that we hit in detail, make sure that we're going over this. The first time, warning, allowed to stay at Crockett Connection C, section below. So first time is always a red card and a we love you. Good news is you can stay, but don't do this again, or it'll get worse. And then tell them what the second one is. So second time, this is really important that we're all really clear on this, because I think, and this more than anything has been partly my fault. We're just not sticking to it. So if we say, when we get to number 2, this is the second time, the second red card, they get a 2-week suspension. Student is sent home and cannot attend for 2 weeks, okay? So that's really important. We haven't been doing that. I want us to stick to that. So if they get that second red card, it doesn't matter what they did. If it was the disrespecting leaders or using profanity, whatever that is, write the red card and say, here's what you signed. Here's what number 2, the second time, says for you for red card, 2-week suspension, and you ask them to leave right then, okay? I think, maybe not want to do some of these things just in regards to not being harsh on the kids and giving them another opportunity, but the fact of the matter is that we've been doing this over and over again, and we just don't have the continuity there. So I'd rather us be all saying the same thing and all saying a lot of different things and stick to this. So, and the third time is 1 month suspension, students sent home and cannot attend for 1 month. So this is really a suspension for part of the rest of the Crockett connection for that day, plus whatever the side effect is. So it's the 2 weeks for the 2, it's the month for the 3, and the 4th time it's students sent home and not attend for the rest of the semester, okay?
That probably should be changed to at least 2 months, because if the rest of the semester is a week or 2 weeks, I mean, that should be more than the third time, don't you think?
Yeah, and I see what you're saying. We do run into that towards the end of the semester.
Right.
The students know that too. If there is a good way for us to change that, I'd definitely be open to suggestions like that. The only problem is we can't change until the next calendar year.
Exactly, I know that.
Because we have a stack of forms that say one thing.
And one other thing I think is, I know when I read forms anymore, I just go to the end and sign. And so I'm kind of thinking that these rules should be, Crockett Connection rules should be posted. And, so they kind of see what the rules are.
Yeah, if you walk around the student ministry area, we actually have these exact rules that are posted around here. Having them in the gym, I will figure out the best way to do that, because I know we have a lot of different ministries that meet in there. And so it's hard to do branding on the walls, because just we'll have different things going on. So I'll ask the best way to do that, and Larry would be the point of contact on that. So I'll say, hey, what would be the best way? Can we leave some of this stuff up? Do we have to pull it out and set it up every time we have
There's no way.
Like
magnetic signs don't stick over there anywhere, do they?
We could. I'm not sure if there's a lot of magnetic stuff. Maybe the vending machines.
What about those sticky things that stick on windows?
Those doors into the gym might be a place to put them up.
Or
yeah,
just
that would be a good place. The only thing is the multi-purpose use of the space.
You'd probably
have
to take them down and
like
just
2
put them
hours.
up on Wednesdays.
Right, so we'd have to set them up and then take them back down. And that's fine, we can do that, but you're right, a visual reminder of the rules without just a, hey, I'm signing my life away. We do that all the time and stuff. If then a terrible accident or death or something, then I'm not blaming anybody.
We say, I agree, and go on.
Right, and that makes a lot of sense. So we'll maybe try to figure out how to blow this up bigger and then post it somewhere, so that way we can remind them, because I think there is going to be some blowback from actually enforcing these, but actually doing it the way that the form says.
Exactly.
Now, if we needed to change that, going back into the 19 fall semester, then we can. So just like what you said, Karen, maybe add that down there for the last suspension.
I've thought that every time. Well, because this happened when someone has had, and it's just, we thought that when it's in the end of the semester.
So the only thing we can't really do is, let's say a student leaves for the summer and they're going into high school. They're not going to come back to Crockett Connection anyway. Right. So we've got some things we just can't do much there, but we'll see how we can maybe rework it to make that work. So that's the red card guidelines. I really would like us all to hopefully be on the same page about this and really just interpret this as literally as possible as the way it's on the paper. If something's not clear, I'd be glad to try and clarify. At the bottom there, it says physically harming someone will result in being dismissed from Crockett for the day in addition to one of the consequences above. That's if the first time they're there, the first time they get a red card, and they hit somebody, any physical harm of any kind, even if it's the first one, we're going to ask them to leave. That's why it says allowed to stay at Crockett Connection, see exemption below. But I think for us, we got to walk in grace as much as possible, but uphold the rules, because this is the first time when they walk into the gym, that they're being held to some sort of objective moral standard that's not, don't kill people, or you go to jail. I mean, that's, that's given, but here we're saying, hey, don't be mean to people, don't disrespect them, don't use profanity, don't yell at people, don't slap somebody in the face, that's not right. But I see what you're saying, Chuck. So they say, hey, this is why we don't do this, here's the reason, here's what you signed, and I want you to be able to stay here, but if you don't want to be here, if you want to break the rules, which we've set up in advance and you've signed, then I've got to enforce them. I just don't have a choice about that. So I think, Chuck, I know what you're saying, and I know you don't want to be the bad guy. I know nobody in here wants to be that person, but we have to be on the same page about this so we can do it together. Because what I've seen is the students going from one person to the other and say, hey, well, these are this, or these are that, or Michael said that. I want to try to avoid that as much as possible, and then also be able to reinforce you guys. So if somebody says, hey, Frank gave me a red card for this, I said, well, what did you do? Oh, yeah, one of the things that, we said, hey, here are the rules, and I'm sorry, man, I want you to be able to stay here, but here's the consequence for that. So come back, and then remember what these rules are. Don't break any of them again, because I want you to be able to stay here. So we're making a balancing act of unchurched students, so people who don't know Jesus, and we're saying, here are some objective moral standards we want you to live by, especially when you're here. If you use them outside, great, but here's what you've got to do while you're here. And then it's still walking in a degree of grace, especially when they first get there. They fill out the form, you know the expectation, talk to them once, and then I would say I would not let it go past that, because we just don't want to get crazy. Definitely, there's some things that are just appropriate. So if you see something happening between a young lady and a man, or a young man, or just two young ladies, and you don't feel like it's appropriate to address, definitely don't feel like you have to do that. What I would say is that most of us should have radios that are in that situation. If somebody's close to you, that's the easiest way to do that. Radio in. I know Linda's going to be carrying around a radio. She has been for the last several weeks. You say, hey, I need a female assist here in the gym. So it's almost like you're going through the TSA security, and it's like, the lady didn't want to go through the little scanner or whatever. Okay, we're going to need a lady to do, the pat down thing. So really, that really is the procedure that we need to follow. If there's not something that somebody feels comfortable about addressing from a female or male perspective, then just say, hey, I just need a lady to come in here and help me handle this. So is
I
that?
can't use her because she doesn't mind me.
Wow. Okay. All right, well, we'll call somebody else. Yeah. So, but I think that's the best. And I know that's come up before. I mean, if it's a young lady or if it's a young man, it's like it's not, or maybe there's something going on in the bathroom, and ladies, you see one of them going in there, but you're not going to go into the guy's bathroom. Obviously, I know we're trying to make sure everything's safe and proper and acceptable, right? So that's kind of the deal with us working as the church. We have a lot of things working against us, and we've got to make sure we're above reproach in all those areas. So I definitely get that, David, and for sure, if there's an assist that's needed, something like that, just make it known. If you don't have a radio, we've got plenty, so you grab one, and if there's an issue, just say, hey, you can assist in here, or anybody else can do that too. And that's fine. I think we've got to, if that kind of stuff's still happening, and they're just not listening there, it's just a repeated thing, it's a matter of, number one, this is why we put it on there, following all instructions given by adults. So that's basically like on your job description, you have the clause at the bottom, I have it on mine. See if the guys are loud here because they have it on theirs too. So all these responsibilities are what you're supposed to do, plus anything that your direct supervisor or whoever sees fit. So that's basically what this is. Follow all instructions given. Sometimes it's really not fun things you have to do. Follow instructions given by all adults. So if you say to a student, and I don't want this to get crazy, but it is on there for a reason. So if a kid has their underwear showing, I mean, that's a real kind of clear, hey, would you be able to do this at school? No, probably not. Okay. All right, don't do it here. That's a simple instruction. Nobody needs to see your underwear. All right. Make it really clear and say, hey, next time this happens, because I've already talked to you, I'll give you a red card for it. If they're like, well, you can't do that. Well, actually, it says follow all instructions given by adults. And it's like, so I think it just solved that really simply. And then if they're suspended for a couple weeks or a month or however that works out, then that what I figured out is either the motivation to make them really angry and never come back, which is not what I want, or which sometimes solves disciplinary problems because the students are causing the most trouble and not there anymore, or it's the, oh man, I'm going to miss out on that opportunity to be here at Crockett Connection. I can't believe I was acting like such a fool. I think they'll have that realization, even if they're not believers and the Spirit's not convicting them. It'll be that, oh man, I let them down and I can't be there for a month. So, and we will enforce that. We've got the sheets. So if they come in, they're on number 2, 3, or the last one, no, you can't come back. Sorry.
I want to reiterate what I think I'm hearing you say is just wherever possible at the beginning with any particular student, go with grace, and then even say, wow, you know, if I have to ask you about this again, we have red cards and these are our rules, right? So it's not a hanging offense, the very first cracker out of the barrel, you get a red card, sort of just like a grace warning. Is that what you're saying, Michael?
Yeah, and I think we do that all the time, especially with stuff that isn't specified on, like Dorothy brought up, it's not specified on the list specifically. So say, here's the standard, this isn't okay to do, and then I'm going to hold you accountable to that. Here's what the rules say. We obviously give more grace the first couple weeks of school because in the first week of the next semester, we're not really in that time frame anymore. It's February, so now going forward, I'm not going to say there's no grace, but just we need to have that strong standard for what we're doing. And if for some reason you feel like a student has not been told that before, they were just like, I had no idea I wasn't supposed to hit somebody in the face, then, well, okay, you're going to have to leave right now, and then there's the consequence. But you know what I mean. If they're pestering at somebody and you're like, okay, here's the rules, and if you're going to be here, we just ask you not to do that, and just so you know, here's the consequence for that. So, yeah, I think that made total sense for what you said. But if there's no other questions about this, we'll keep moving forward. We'll go from there. We only have a few more slides left to go through. This is the dates to remember one. It's always helpful. If you take a picture, just write them down. Hey, Ben.
I want to.
Okay. You want some? So, it's always fun to have meetings. We were hanging out this morning, going over our baptismal stuff for the students who are getting baptized back. She had some input for what was going on. Yeah. Always good. So if you want to take a picture of this, that'd be great. Just some dates to remember. So 13th is this next Wednesday, official start for our Girl Mentorship Program. The mission trip, obviously no school. Every time there's no school, we are not meeting on a Wednesday night for service or for Crockett Connection. So that's great. Everybody gets a week and really about another month or so.
Where are you going?
We're actually going to be doing local missions. And the reason we do that, I shared it with our students this morning because we just announced what we're doing with them. The year before, we're going to do something maybe a little bit bigger, and I don't usually tell them what that is. We do a local mission trip. That way, the budget the year before, our monies go down a little bit, and then they go back up, so it just kind of offsets what we're doing from year to year. And so it's actually costless for the students too. So we'll be working with Irving Cares, visiting the nursing homes, doing visitation, going to visit students who maybe have come to Crockett Connection in the last year, but no one's followed up with them because I can't visit 700 students by myself. So try to do as many as we can. But what we usually stick to is those who've already made decisions and visited the church on Sunday morning. So yeah, local mission trip. It'll be Irving Cares, Dallas Food Pantry. We'll be taking them to do some fun things too. So like we're going to Dallas Mavericks game, do a water park day. But again, this year we're going to do local missions like we did about 4 years ago. And the next year we'll do something that's out of state, that's a little bit further away. And it'll cost some more things. So that's that for the mission trip. Christian only. Which will be another couple months removed. It's awkward at the end of the semester, I know, but this is just what we do as a church. No Crockett Connection because we don't do anything in evenings for services. 22nd is the last day. The reason is because the last day in May is that half day. And we always say if we have a half day, then we don't meet, and that's made it pretty seamless for us. The students get that policy, that procedure. If it's a half day or if there's no school session on that Wednesday, we don't meet. Which works out to us meeting about 38 weeks out of the year, which is still a lot, 52. So high percentage. And then the first day, if you want to put that on your calendar for the fall semester, because I would like to make sure you guys have a great break, and I will be bothering you about much of anything over the summer if I had to guess. Then just worry about that date, going back to the 21st. So I think we're planning on having a meeting sometime around then for Crockett Connection too, just as we get started, but that'll be important. So last slide, second to last slide, sorry. We'll do a what's working. We always do this, what's working, what's not. I think you guys shared a lot in the surveys, and can you get on your phone and just get to the next one. This is for you guys to share if there's really a problem, if there's really something, because I had 8 pages of single-spaced information that I went through, and I was not going to put that all up here for us to go over because it would take 3 hours probably, but I did read it all over and over and over again. The consensus was, how do we deal with lack of disrespect? There's some miscommunication on how the red card system works. How do we know if we're going to be there or not? If I'm not going to be there, who do I notify? What's going on? And so I've tried to address all of that in this meeting, so that not so that you can't ask questions. You can. I'm up here at the church a lot of the time. So if you need to ask a question, call, email. I will get back to you very shortly if there's a problem. And we can always handle just minor things right before Crockett starts, but this is just so we don't have to do that. What's working, what's not, what's going really well, we can talk about some of those things too. This is feedback, like Todd shared in service. So, it doesn't scare me, and I know you guys feel comfortable to share that, so this is definitely time to do that so we can handle it. If there's something that was not addressed that was in the survey, I apologize, and you'd like to bring it up now. Hopefully we can.
We're gonna break it 2010.
We will do our best to do that. I'm trying to stick with it. If I feel like, and again, a lot of this stuff, Jerry, is sometimes inaudible. If I feel like the students are understanding that we do it at 4:40 every day, and they decide to leave 5 minutes before, they don't have to deal with the guilt trip at the door, like, hey, are you sure you don't want a burger for dinner? You know, that kind of thing. And then we also want you to learn something about God. Because I think that's happened the last couple of years. We get into that mode if we do it every time the same week, which I'm going to try to stick to, and sometimes they catch on and they start figuring out, well, I'll leave here, then I can stay for all the playtime, and then maybe I'll come back for service. So one of the things we do is if they leave Crockett Connection, they can come back to the main service, but not until 6 o'clock, so when Crockett is over. Some of them opt to do that, but not very many. But I think, Gary, in that instance, it would be not very often. And I would probably start it a little bit earlier as opposed to starting it later, because we have to get done with it by 5. We'll try to stick to it 4:40.
Michael, I'm not 100% sure that the kids can go upstairs at 6. When Crockett is over, they can come upstairs.
Yeah, the high schoolers the warehouse is open from at 5:15, as well as everybody who's participating in a serve area. So the cafe back there, if they're being a mentor, if they're leading in the band, if they're helping with check-in, if they're doing a variety of serve things, or if they're in a mentor group, it's open at 5:15. If they're in junior high. Knowing most of the middle school kids will probably be in a mentor relationship. So, and then as they, if they've been here for a couple of years, they've got saved, they're being discipled some other time outside of Wednesdays, then they get pushed into another serve area.
But just the ones that are, when Crockett ends, they can come up.
When Crockett's over, we send them over 5:55, 6 o'clock, and they're lined up at the doors. We'll let them in a little bit early, but they check in and they can stay up here. So, yeah, we want to try to avoid sending a large group of students who are not going to be participating in serving or in discipleship in this space or in that space until 6 o'clock. Because once 6 o'clock hits, we set the clock for the excitement, the pump up time, and so it's more about, hey, everything's about to start, and we got the video playing on the screens, and game time's going to start soon. So they know that's the hype time. But everybody who gets to come up here before knows, hey, this is serious. This is serious time for us to focus and learn about God. Dave?
Who tells us when to start sending the kids? Who from over here?
The kitchen, I believe. So if somebody else has any insight on that, I'd be open to it. But from what I understand, we send a couple leaders over. The kitchen says yes or no on go ahead. Once we're in place, someone radios over and says, go ahead and send it.
Okay.
So,
Well, there's usually some women up by the door that will tell us, when to start sending them. And that's really good. If they just put up, send us 10, we can get started on that as quick as we see that.
Yeah, and normally somebody has a radio who's right there by the front and is able to say, from the kitchen, from Baker Hall, send 10 over.
Okay.
Send 10 over. Send 10 over. That works really well. So if there's ever not, if I feel like there's some communication breakdown, just grab a radio and turn it on and have it with you, and then there won't be for service time. So here's just the procedure for us. Going forward, we'll put something together where we can have a little list that we sign, and then start calling parents. Which is easy because we have access to the check-in system with the phone numbers. Call parents, let them know they are heading home. That's all we're going to do is say, hey, just let you know you're leaving. I'm just going to let your parent or whatever the emergency contact is know that you are not here anymore. And we'll do that here, and we'll also do that up here. I think Alphonse, you can help me work on that. I know Jason leads the security stuff up here on Wednesday nights, but we will almost have to have somebody for sure standing right by the door the whole time. And as students are going out, just say, hey, well, hold up. Let's not everybody run out at the same time. Let me just snap a picture real quick, snap a picture. I just need your ID. And I can almost guarantee that's only going to be in that Crockett Connection group.
Well, yeah, because it makes it messy, not convenient enough to just walk out the door.
Right. So I'll just walk out, no repercussions. And sometimes too, the parents get mad at us because they leave. Like, your kid is supposed to be here. And I always say, hey, we can't hold anybody against their will. Oh, okay, well, I guess that makes sense. That's right. So then they're not angry anymore, but they are until they hear that this isn't like school. You know, I can't like keep them from running out the door. Like, we're a nonprofit, we're a church. They're here by their own free will. So no small groups again. Just so there's no confusion, 5 o'clock is the dinner. We're going to go straight to the dinner from the devotion. The kids who have made professions of faith already and or made professions of faith and gotten baptized are going to go straight to the mentorship groups up here in this space. And then no more small groups during Crockett. I hate to not offer another opportunity, but when students are given the option, especially those who have never made a profession of faith, don't have any reason to invest, I don't want what we're saying to fall on deaf ears. And definitely having those of you who are gifted in that area, mentoring and discipling, I think is really all of us, can be invested in there. And while I say that, I think some of you have already said, yeah, I want to be a mentor. Just know that's great. And what I'm also trying to do is make sure we have Crockett staffed the 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. time frame. So if you offered and I have not paired you up with somebody, it's just simply because I want to make sure we're staffing Crockett until 6 o'clock for sure. So if you have a question about that and you haven't given somebody and you're like, I want a mentor, just really bad, then I'd be glad to pair you up with somebody. But just know I'm trying to balance the mentoring and the closing out of Crockett Connection until 6 o'clock during that time frame. So again, I can always try to rework some things. If you feel like that's where you need to be, that's great. We can do that.
Or you could try to replace yourself if you want to do
Try to
that.
replace
Somebody
yourself,
could
find
come,
somebody else.
during that last hour. It would be great too.
The Crockett Connection, 5 to 6, and then we can mentor during that time too. So, but I appreciate. I know a lot of y'all's hearts. It's just I want to make the biggest eternal impact as possible where I can. So, and I wish more of our young people will take that on. I think they will with the mentor program, what we're doing now. And
How many kids have signed up to be mentored?
Well, it's not so much a sign up as it is me saying you made a decision in the last year to 3 years and you have to participate in this.
Okay.
But I have said, hey, we're doing this really cool mentorship program. I think you're going to want to be a part of it. It happens on Wednesdays at 5, and then those same mentors are actually going to pick up people on Sunday mornings. So if you want to be here for church, to be part of our whole church family, which is a really great experience, and you really don't get to see how church really is until you come to be a part of the whole family, then I want to sign you up for that. And you're like, oh, okay.
So you're saying you already have the mentors and mentees?
I have a running list, and I know why you're asking, because I have a running list of mentors who have not yet been paired up with students, and then I have a list of students who want mentors and or need mentors who I'm still trying to communicate with their families. The most difficult thing about the mentorship program is that I have to get a parent to answer the phone or return my phone call or email or talk to me in person, accepting that they're okay with their kid, number one, being mentored on Wednesday. Because we don't want kids going home and saying, hey, this person has sat down with me, and it was kind of strange, I'm not really sure why, and then I get a phone call for the wrong reasons. And or they say it's also okay to get picked up on Sunday. So those things have to happen, and it's about a 3 to 4 week process of me making phone calls and emails and personal visits to get someone, or an adult or parent or whoever, to return my phone call or answer and say, yes, I'm okay with that. And then I have to then make another point of contact, which is here's your mentor. Here's the person who's mentoring you. So I get both the mentor and the mentee together, their families. I get them all on the same page. I try to get them to have a sit-down meeting together. And that's the process for every student and every mentor. So it's where I've been spending a lot of my time, needless to say, the last month or so, which is fine, but there's a lot of work on the front end. So if you're asking, or if anybody else is signed up to be a mentor, and they're like, I don't have a mentee yet, I don't have somebody that I'm picking up on Sundays or that I'm mentoring with on Wednesday nights, that's okay. And in fact, if we go into March and you still haven't been contacted, just know that if anybody else asks you, you're on the list, and I will more than likely use you in the next couple of months. But because it's taking, honestly, Karen, I've got somebody who I've already just kind of in parentheses and a question mark with your name on it.
I didn't know if we just showed up next Wednesday or if it was going to be more.
What I'm doing is, if you haven't heard from me, phone call from me, email from me, anything, then that means I have not paired somebody up. And I have to get a parent to say, hey, here's the mentor. Are you okay with them meeting with your student? And are you okay with them getting picked up and dropped off on Sundays? Oh, yes, that would be great. Okay, let me get you their information. then I will call you, then I will forward information back and forth as far as release forms and expectations and when you're meeting and when you're picking up to drop it off. So, and we've got all the templates for the emails and the release forms and that kind of stuff that actually have to be done from an administrative side of things first. So, yeah, anybody else who asked, that's where we're at on mentorship stuff. There's going to be a running list of people who either, if you're already serving Crockett, may not be mentoring, but more than likely most of you who signed up will be paired up with somebody. It just may take another month or two.
No problem.
Just the different things that have come up, like students will tell me, well, I'm at my mom's this Sunday, I'm at my dad's this Sunday, and then this couple of weeks I'm with my grandparents, or if it's an aunt or uncle or raising them, sometimes they get passed between people. They still are here in Irving, but over the course of a month, a kid can be living in 2 or 3 different places, and that's pretty normal. So just trying to get that information for the families too has been very difficult. So just as you talk with other mentors, just let them know what's going on. So small groups, they'll be plugged in, profession of faith time. If there's no other questions,